What is up, people? What is up, people? This is Abraham Walker with Ask A Walker, your Northern Virginia real estate agent. And we have a great show for you today. So, on today's show, we're going to be covering questions 13 and 46 from our home buyer and seller series. And then we also are going to cover the Prince William County numbers. So we're just setting up for our TikTok audience here. So give me a couple seconds here while we're waiting or while we're setting up. Let me know in the chat where you're located, where you're watching us from. Let's see here. All right, good to go. We're good to go there. An exciting Wednesday. We're almost to the weekend. Do you all have any weekend plans? One of the things we're going to do this weekend is we're going to take the boys, or as a family, we're going to go as a family to a new brunch spot that the missus found. That should be exciting. So you're watching us on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. And in a few seconds here, we'll be on TikTok. Boop, boop, boop. So type down in the chat where you're watching the show from. How are you doing today? Let me know those things. Are you excited about this market? Is this market scaring you or is it motivating you? All right. So we are all set. Let's see. We just have to get this. There we go. All right. Excellent. So, like I said, we have a great show for you today. Let me just make sure. The first thing we're going to start with are Prince William County numbers from February 2023. You want to stay and watch this if you are thinking about buying a home, selling a home, or investing in real estate in Prince William County. So that's Woodbridge, Dumfries, Gainesville, Manassas, areas like that. And then we're going to move to question number 13 in the first question we're going to cover is question number 46 in 100 questions every home buyer should ask, which is, does when you close matter? And then we're going to cover a home seller question, which is question 13. Do I need a real estate broker or agent to sell my home? What is a for sale by owner? So those are the two topics we're going to answer for you today. Before we start, just want to let you know there is a link in the description to the Perfect Home Questionnaire. Fill out that form and we will schedule a time to meet online via Zoom to answer any and all of your questions. Any question you may have about real estate, whether you're buying a home, selling a home, or investing in real estate. For people on TikTok, the link is in my bio for the Perfect Home Questionnaire. So let's start the show. There we go. All right. So Prince William County numbers, February 2023. We're going to look at over asking. This is the price that people paid over asking. We're also going to look at the percentage of homes that sold over asking price. This is going to give you a great representation of how competitive it is in the Prince William County area. We're going to look at the number of homes that sold, compare that to last year. What is the average sales price at this time? We're going to look at the three different property types as well. So we're going to look at single family homes, townhomes, and condos. And we're going to talk about the average days on market. So how long did it take to sell a home in Prince William County? We're going to close up this section talking about what buyers should take away from this segment and what sellers should know. Okay. So 21% of all transactions in February in Northern Virginia occurred in Prince William County. Okay. So for our purposes, Northern Virginia is Alexandria City, Arlington County, Fairfax County, Loudoun County, Prince William, and Stafford. So Prince William County had the second most transactions, right behind Fairfax County and right before Loudoun County. Now, when I'm talking about Prince William County, I think it's important for us to kind of differentiate between the different segments, because Prince William is a large area. When I'm talking to clients, I like to describe Prince William County as the area off of 66, and then we have the area off of 95. So I actually make it seem like Prince William County is kind of broken up into two pieces. And like Manassas, Nokesville, this is like that border between the eastern and the western part of the county. Now, with the part of the county that's to the north, northeast over here by Gainesville, this part of the county has a lot more buyers, or a lot more individuals who were priced out of the Loudoun County area. So they're kind of pushed into this part of the region, and that's why you're going to see a lot higher sales prices over here at the top of the county. And then on the lower side of the county, or the southeastern side of the county, these individuals are kind of pushed into this area. They move into this region because they're kind of priced out of the Fairfax County area, right? And so this area is a little bit more economical compared to Fairfax County, off of 95, and then off of 66. This area is more economical compared to Loudoun County. So just so you can know what is Prince William County, it's a very large area, but think of it as 66 versus 95, or not 66 versus 95, but 66 and 95. All right, so 40% of all transactions that sold, homes that sold in Prince William County in February, sold over the asking price, right? So almost half of the transactions, are roughly 2 out of 5 transactions, sold over the asking price, which is really 152 homes sold over the asking. Now, what does that mean for you? You should just expect that if you're buying a house in Prince William County, it's a very likely chance that you're going to be paying over the asking price. Now, this number has decreased from last year, so February 2022 to February 2023. So it was 68% of all transactions last February, and now it's down to 40%. So we got that 18%, 18 points that it dropped, but it's still a significant number of the transactions that are selling in Prince William County. When you're thinking about if you think about the concept of, okay, great, if I'm going to be buying a house that's going to be selling over asking price, how much will I pay over the asking price? On average in Prince William County, buyers paid $11,000 over the list price. $11,000 over the list price. This number here is an average, so this takes into account properties from all across the region. So you want to make sure that you run these numbers for your area. So wherever you're buying a house, look at the comparables, look at the other properties that are similar to the property you're buying, to determine how much over the asking price you may have to pay. Units sold are down 25% year over year, so from 510 to 382. The units sold, single family homes are going to represent the lion's share of all transactions in Prince William County, so right at 53% of the transactions, and then 34% of the transactions were townhouses. We kind of expected that condos wouldn't be that large of a market share in Prince William County, because Prince William County is considered to be more single family homes and townhomes in general, because you're moving further and further into the suburbs. So there's just more land in general. But I'm pretty sure you probably are surprised that 13% of the transactions are with condos. When we're looking at the prices, when we're looking at the number of homes by price range, you'll notice that most of the transactions in Prince William County start at $300,000, and then it kind of tapers off after you get to $600,000, which can be or could be expected, especially when we look at the average sales price based on property types in a few slides. So the top selling zip codes are going to be mostly in the southeastern part of Woodbridge, which is off of 95. So we have Dale City at number 1 with 56 transactions. That's off of 95. We have Woodbridge East, which is one of the larger zip codes. And then that's also off of 95 at number 2. And that's tied with Manassas City. So Manassas City is like in between Woodbridge, or the 95 side of Prince William County, and the 66 side of Prince William County. And then we have Gainesville, which is on the 66 side of Prince William County at number 4 with 39 transactions. And then Woodbridge West, which is again off of 95. So you'll notice that out of the top 5 zip codes, 3 of them are off of 95. And that is to be expected, seeing that off of 95, the prices are much more economical. Now, the average sales price for a Prince William County home was $523,000 this year, which is just about $20,000 less than last year. I mean, $20,000 more than last year. So prices have gone up despite the interest rates. Single family homes in Prince William County average at $606,000, whereas townhouses came in at $465,000, and then we're at $344,000 for condos. Now, the highest price property that sold over the asking price, so this is the highest somebody paid over the asking price, was a property in Gainesville. It sold at $1.13 million, and the buyer paid $80,000 over the asking price. Days on market have increased drastically in the Prince William County, almost 3 times the number that they were last February, which was at 12 days on market. Now we're at 32 days on market, and we're still in a seller's market. We're not in a buyer's market, or a buyer's market doesn't begin until we have 6 months. It takes 6 months to actually sell a property, and we're nowhere near that. So that's why you're going to continue to see home prices increase. So what buyers should know? Buyers should know that we already discussed that Prince William County really could be split between the 95 side and the 66 side. Expect stiff competitions along the 66 side as more and more buyers are priced out of the Loudoun County region. Buyers along 95 are going to continue to really benefit from the lower price of the properties, but also you're going to still have a really nice commute into the city. So we see a lot of people that are in the military choose to move to the 95 side of Prince William County. The type of property you pursue is still going to determine like how competitive the market is for you. And we always recommend get pre-approved so you can compete in this market. We put 3 houses in Prince William County under contract in the last 4 weeks, and 2 of the properties had 4 other offers, and we won. Congratulations to our clients. But they were all multiple offer situations. So one was a single family home, one was a townhouse, and then there was a new construction property. So be patient with yourself, give yourself time, and things will work out for you. Now, for sellers, you need to prepare for a quicker than normal sale. So you're still looking under 2 months to sell your property once it goes on the market. You still want to declutter, depersonalize, stage your property. Light staging, not a full staging job. I think light staging will get the job done. Make sure you market rent backs in your property. So tell your agent to put the fact that you want to rent back inside of the listing agreement, so inside of the agent remarks, so that the buyer's agents can know and they can submit offers accordingly. And then make sure you talk to your buyer's lender before you accept any offers. All right. So what questions do you have? Let me know. Were any of those numbers surprising about the Woodbridge? I mean, the Prince William County area? Did you know about the fact that Prince William County is really broken up into 2 parts, where you have the part that's off of 66 and the part that's off of 95? I've never had anybody who's shopping in Gainesville, which is off of 66, also say that they are looking in Woodbridge or Lake Ridge area, and vice versa. The same goes. All right, what do y'all think? These numbers are they surprising? Are they to be expected? Post any questions you may have in the comment section. We'll have a little Q&A right quick, and then we'll go into our second presentation for today. What do you think? Okay, so let's see if we have any comments. Somebody said Hood Bridge. Yeah, that's that is a common term that's used for Woodbridge. Or I've heard used. I don't know if it's common, but I have heard that term used before. Any other comments while we're waiting to go into our next segment, which is 100 questions every first-time home buyer should ask. This is question number 46. What does does when you close matter? So we're going to talk about timing your closing when you're buying a home. While we're waiting for any questions to come up, just want to let you know there is a link in the description to the Perfect Home Questionnaire. Fill out that form if you're ready to start your real estate journey, whether that's buying a home, selling a home, or investing in real estate. What happened just now? Interesting. All right. And for our people on TikTok, the link for that Perfect Home Questionnaire is in my bio. It's in my bio. All right. If we don't have any other questions, I'll take a little sip here and we can go on to our next segment. All right, let's go. So 100 questions every first time home buyer should ask. Question number 46. Does when you close matter? So we're going to talk about timing your close. So we're at this final stage of you putting your offer in on a property, right? So when you think about closing, you want to make sure you have this conversation with your agent up front. You got to talk to your agent up front about the timing process, right? So this is the final step. The closing date that you choose is going to matter. It's going to affect you financially. So you have to take this a little bit more seriously than you expect. And I will say, if you're in a buyer's market, a seller's market, which we will talk about, will determine how flexible you can be when you're thinking about a closing. But typically, a closing will take 30 days from the date of ratification. Date of ratification is when you are, when the buyer and the seller both come to terms on a price, right? So when you're in a seller's market, so a few things to consider. So when you're in a seller's market, you have to think about, when does the seller want to sell? When do they want to close on a property? So that's either when they want to move out, or if they want to rent back. So some of the properties in the spring market, you'll see that a lot of them are advertised with a rent back, so you can know when they want to get out of the property. And you also want to know when you need to move into the property. So whether that's if you're renting, you want to try to time that up with your lease ending. If you're relocating to the area, you're going to try to time that up with when your moving truck is going to arrive, or when you're going to arrive. There's a lot of timing that goes into it. One thing to consider is when you're thinking about the different times of the month to close. You probably have heard that if you want to close at the end of the month, so that you can have less expenses tied to buying a property. And that is true. And when we're talking about closing time period, we're really talking about interest payments. So because mortgages are paid in arrears, that means that at the end of the month, you're accrue. Is that the word? You incur the fees for interest for the previous 30 days, right? Or for the previous month. And then you have to pay that bill by the 15th of the next month or so, right? So if you close at the beginning of the month, then you have interest payments all the way until that time period, right? So that will increase your closing costs. So you'll see a lot of lenders kind of recommend that the buyer tries to close at the end of the month as often as possible. And a lot of title companies, or a lot of closings in general, just happen at the end of the month. So why is that? So So we kind of talked about it just a little bit, but on this diagram here, you'll notice that when you close, you take possession of the property. That's when your bill to the lender begins. So if you can decrease the time between your closing date and the end of your first month, then that will decrease how much money you have to bring to the table. And your first mortgage payment isn't until the end of month 2, whenever your lender says that payment is due. Now on TikTok, it's going to be easier to see this diagram on our YouTube channel, and there's going to be a rebroadcast of this on our channel, so you can go look it up. Okay, so that's why you'll notice that most lenders will recommend, or even most people online will say, try to close at the end of the month, and it's really just to minimize that interest payment. I don't think it's that big of a deal, to be honest with you, because properties come on the market when they come on the market, and you have to buy them. You have to buy what's available. So if our normal contract time period is between 30 and 45 days, if a property comes on the market at the beginning of the month, then you are probably going to be closing at the beginning of the following month because it's 30 days, right? Now, when you're scheduling your closings, let's say that you are able to control the transaction as much as possible, and the seller is open to you controlling this, or taking your input. When you're closing, the title company has other customers that they're servicing, and you don't want to choose a date that they are going to have the most settlements or the most closings. So the last day of the month is always going to be the busiest for them. And we actually like to tell our clients that we want to close between Tuesday and Thursday. So only 3 days out of the week, we really want to close Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And the main reason for that is if we close on a Monday, then there may be some issues that your lender has. And banks have banking hours, so they're not open on Saturday or Sunday. So if you have any problems whatsoever with your deal, you could wind up being delayed. And we don't want to be delayed, because then we have to go to the seller and ask them for an extension, which they can or cannot grant. So you want to be in control as much as possible. So try to close between Tuesday and Thursday. Now, the reason why you don't want to close on a Friday is that lenders or bankers, they're just like regular people, where they don't, people kind of wind down on Fridays getting prepared for the weekend. You don't want to have somebody who leaves the office early, or you don't want to have somebody who's rushing to do a job. Not to say that they're not get the job done. It's just that you want to position yourself. If you can control as much as you can, you want to position yourself to have a smooth transaction. So avoid closing at the end of the month. And if you have to close at the end of the month, try to close between Tuesday and Thursday. Okay. Now, you're scheduling the closing with the settlement company. The settlement company is going to reach out to you to schedule your closing. That's what's supposed to happen. But if the closing company or the settlement company is very busy, you want to be proactive and reach out to them. Now, this is assuming that you're not working with us, because on our team, we actually handle all of these responsibilities ourselves, where we schedule things on our client's behalf. But if you're not working with us and you work with somebody else, I don't know why you would do that, but you want to make sure that you're scheduling your settlement at least a week in advance, because there are time slots that the closing company has that they're filling up. And closing companies don't have like an unlimited amount of space. So there's usually one attorney, and then that attorney will just do one closing per hour on the busier days, right? So you want to make sure that they can accommodate your schedule. So maybe you're going to work that day and you're going to have a later closing, like maybe like a 4 o'clock closing, which 4 o'clock closings suck. I just want to let you know that, because things can happen that causes delays, and we may have a problem getting in touch with people. And if that's the best that you can do, schedule that in advance. Schedule that at least a week in advance. Lastly, when you're scheduling your closing, you want to, well, let's talk about new construction first, and then we'll talk about regular people. So when you're doing new construction, in your new construction contracts, some of those contracts say that the builder has 18 months 18 to 24 months to actually deliver a property. Now, most builders will say that they could deliver a property within 5 to 9 months. If you're building a single family home, sometimes you're in that 12-month time period. But for condos and townhouses, you're looking at between 5 to 9 months. That's what they say. But in the contract you sign, if you read it, we recommend that you read it. In the contract you sign, it says that they can take 24 months sometimes. So maybe there's a delay. Maybe they're not able to get building supplies. Maybe your certificate of occupancy doesn't come in. There's all these things that can happen. And one of these scenarios actually happened to one of our clients who was buying a property in Fairfax in the Pender Oaks subdivision. I believe the builder was Cahovania, and they had a problem with getting this is a condo, and they had a problem with the fire alarm inspection, and so that was the last inspection before we can get before the developer could get the certificate of occupancy. My client luckily had a family member that lived in the region, but he was relocating from up north, but he has a family member already that was here, and so the closing was delayed by 3 weeks, I believe. So just imagine he already had a mover scheduled. He has a job that is expecting him to participate and perform his functions while he's here, and he did not make that closing time period. So you want to make sure you give yourself space when you're buying new construction properties to have somewhere else that you could live, or at least have a plan B in the event that your closing is delayed. Now, for regular people, these are people who are just buying properties that are resale properties where there's already somebody living in them. The way I like to counsel my clients is, first of all, you want to work backwards from the date that you move in. So we're going to take the date that you're moving in, and then we're going to add 30 to 45 days to that date. That is your contract to close date. So that's from the date of ratification to closing. Now, I know I already mentioned that a normal closing is 30 days, right? Now, why would I tell you to do 45 days? Well, in some instances, that you may have an extended closing, right? So we already talked about, if you can control the closing as much as possible, you want to close at the end of the month. You may have to add a few days. Also, the seller may want to add a few days on their behalf. Now, the next thing you want to do is you want to add another 60 to 90 days to actually find a property, right? So you're adding another 60 to 90 days. So that means that you're really looking at about three and a half months in the event that the seller isn't looking for a rent back. If you're buying a property in the springtime, then you want to add an additional 60 days to the time that you're going to look for a property to accommodate for the seller's potential rent back, right? So we're going to add another 60 days to this whole list, and this is for rent backs. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, Abraham, I'm not going to let the seller stay in the property after I buy it. I mean, that's fine in a buyer's market. In a buyer's market, you can control things. In a seller's market, the seller will just select from multiple offers that all are offering similar things. So you don't have as much control, okay? So this is a rent back, okay? All right, so that is it. Let me see. There was one thing. Okay, we already talked about that. You get possession. Did we talk? Okay, all right. That's in the next section. Perfect. So do we have any questions? Post any questions you may have about this segment here. This is question number 46 from 100 questions every first-time home buyer should ask. Does when you close matter? It does matter. It does matter. You want to make sure you schedule that properly, and make sure you talk to your agent at the beginning of the process about what your timeline and deadlines are. So post any questions you may have in the chat, and then we're going to get ready for question number 13 from 100 sellers. Questions 100 sellers. Like, what is it? 100 questions every seller should ask. Question number 13 is, do I need a real estate agent to sell my home? What is a for sale by owner? So post any questions you may have. All right. So while we are waiting for that, while we're waiting for some questions and we're getting set up for our next segment, I want to let you know that there is a link in the description to the Perfect Home Questionnaire. Fill out that form if you're ready to start your real estate journey, whether you're buying a home, selling a home, or investing in real estate. Use that link in the description to start that process. For my people that are on TikTok, there is a link in my bio for you to schedule your time with me, and we will have some one-on-one time via Zoom to answer any and all of your questions about real estate. All right. Boop, boop. All right. So no questions. Oh, let's get this. All right. All right, let's go into question number 13 from 100 questions every home seller should ask. Do I need a real estate broker or agent to sell my home? The answer is no. You don't need a real estate agent to sell your home. You could definitely do it by yourself. There are tons of people who sell their homes without a real estate agent every year. Now, your market will determine how successful you are, right? The time of the year will also have something to play into that. And so we'll go into some of the specifics on why people choose either to sell their homes by themselves or to use an agent. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, when you hear people talk about for sale by owner, sometimes you hear them say FSBO. So that's just they're talking about the same thing. So FSBO, for sale by owner, both the same thing. FSBO. Now, in a seller's market, we're talking about a time period that it takes. Usually, they say it's going to be 6 months. Anything less than 6 months is considered a seller's market, and anything over 6 months it's considered a buyer's market. I'm here to tell you that we've been in Northern Virginia for almost 10 years now, selling real estate. And in Northern Virginia, if a property sits on the market for like 2 or 3 months, sellers start to drop the price. So I would say that your market will determine when a quote unquote a buyer's market is. In Northern Virginia, we've just had an extreme seller's market for the last 2 or 3 years, but we've been in quote unquote a seller's market for at least the last 10 years, right? So in a seller's market, the seller is the predator, right? So that's the person who gets to dictate things, whereas the buyer is the predator in a buyer's market. Seller's market, you have quick sales, buyer gives in, and properties are easier to sell. But buyer's market is the opposite. The reason why I'm telling you this is because for sale by owners usually pick up, or the number of people who decide to sell the houses by themselves kind of pick up in a seller's market because it is deemed easier to sell real estate. Now, most agents, because they have a biased opinion about their performance, say that it doesn't make sense to sell your property by yourself because of 3 reasons. First off, agents will sell your house more quickly. They usually sell for more money, and they say that it's less hassle. This isn't to say that these things are not true. It's just it's not saying that you couldn't get a similar outcome as them, right? You just have to be honest about your ability to apply yourself and to invest in the process, right? So most people sell their homes by themselves because they are trying to save the commission. That is the number one reason that most people sell their homes by themselves. But there are a segment of people who are really confident in their sales skills or their marketing skills. So maybe they have some marketing background and they just want to try to sell their homes by themselves. Now, NAR, a National Association of Realtors, does studies every year where they review sales data and they provide us with like a nice little overview. And so here are FSBO statistics. So for sale by owner statistics, in 2021, 10% of all homes were sold for sale by owner. And it is believed that real estate agents on average sold properties for $105,000 above what a for sale by owner could get. Now, this number has fluctuated throughout my 15-year career as a real estate agent, and NAR has produced these stats for us on a regular basis. I don't know how they get these numbers, to be honest with you, so I never really put any weight to them. And whenever I'm talking to a for sale by owner, trying to convince them or encourage them to use my business, my services, I never use these stats because I feel like this is a little misleading. I mean, $225,000 properties, $330,000 properties in Northern Virginia. Our average sales price is in the sixes for some areas, sevens for Fairfax County, Loudoun, Arlington. So these numbers don't really relate to my market. So that's why I don't use these stats. But one of the things they say that sellers say is the toughest part of selling on their own is preparing the house for sale. And then they say that it's also difficult to figure out the pricing of the property. Now, what I don't understand here is, if this is to discourage people from selling the house by themselves, even when you list with a real estate agent, you still have to prepare your house for sale. So I think what the main challenge with selling your house by yourself is that you don't have a separate person working on your behalf, and prepping your house is something where you have to decide how to prep your house, and then you also have to do the activity, whereas when you're using a real estate agent, you don't have to do the same. One of the more time consuming parts of selling your property is the marketing of your property, right? And when I say marketing, some people will say that it's like telling people about the property, yard signs online. That's cool. In addition to that, there's also showing your property that's also time consuming. I don't think that people realize how much time real estate agents spend showing properties to other people. Now, when you're selling your house through an agent, we use lock boxes and we trust the other person who's using a lockbox. So the listing agent, the person who represents the seller, doesn't have to be at the showing to let the person in. But when you're selling a home by yourself as a for sale by owner, you will be accompanying all showings. And I got to tell you, it's going to be physically draining, and it's going to be an emotional roller coaster. So what I would recommend you do is try to do some bigger open house seasons or open house sessions so that you can have a large number of people come in at the same time. You don't have to worry about scheduling showings. The next thing that's going to be kind of challenging for you is to evaluate and negotiate offers that come in. A lot of the offers you're going to receive are going to be from real estate agents. Real estate agents have a leg up on you because they are in the market on a regular basis representing buyers and sellers. So you're going to be at an information disadvantage when you're caught in this negotiation process. The good news though for you is that all of the transactions that occur but that are real estate assisted usually have just generic forms, right? So just forms that everybody uses. So after a few times of seeing the forms, you should be able to understand what is being offered. And in the state of Virginia, you can actually download the forms from Virginia Association of Realtors, um, to kind of get an idea of what exactly is going to be submitted on your end. All right, so that was question number 13 from 100 questions every home seller should ask. This is, do I need a real estate agent to sell my home? What is a for sale by owner? Hope I answered that question for you. We've sold several for sale by owner properties. We've both represented for sale by owners when they weren't able to sell their properties, and we've also represented buyers who have purchased for sale by owner properties, and they've all been smooth transactions. I will say, talking to for sale by owners who believe that real estate agents aren't worth the investment, it's always hilarious. It's always hilarious because it's an interesting perspective to take, that you believe that a professional um who obviously is needed because there's like 5 million transactions that happen in America, they just are worthless. But then you go to work yourself, right? Like, it's always funny. It's always a funny conversation. I never let those discussions fluster me because I sell real estate on a regular basis. but it's a funny conversation to have with somebody who believes that your services aren't worthy, but they would also like you to bring a buyer. They would like you to bring your clients any event you have a client to their property so that they can sell their home and go on about their business. So yeah, so that was it for today. So we had the Prince William County numbers for February 2023, and then we covered question number 46. Does when you close matter? And then we just wrapped up question number 13 for sellers. Do I need a real estate agent to sell my home? What is a for sale by owner? So we'll stay on for a little while to answer any questions that you may have. While we're waiting for questions to come in, just know that there's a link in the description to the Perfect Home questionnaire. Fill out that form and we'll schedule a time to meet online via Zoom. No matter where you are in your real estate journey, we're here to help you. So fill out that form. If you're on TikTok watching, there is a link in the description or the link in the bio for that form. So we have a question off of YouTube. I've been planning to make a move to Northern Virginia area for over a year. Thank you for your advice. Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. And that's Lydia A on YouTube. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Your videos has helped me to prepare better. Hopefully I'll move this summer. I'm planning to buy a townhouse. I'm Ethiopian. Oh, excellent. Where are you moving from? What part of the area are you moving from? And also, which part of the region you want to move to? Oh, you're living in Utah. I don't like it here. Yeah. Utah doesn't sound like a place that I would like either. I haven't been to Utah, but I want to say that I believe we have a lot more to do in Northern Virginia than Utah. Well, good. Well, since you're going to be moving this summer, okay, so you're going to be buying in Fairfax. Do you know what part of Fairfax you're going to be buying in? Yeah, Utah doesn't seem like some place that would have a lot of diversity. Well, if you're going to be moving this summer, we probably want to start talking now. So use that link in the description to schedule a time to meet via the Perfect Home questionnaire. Like I mentioned, let's get to, yeah, like I mentioned right here. So you want to work backwards for your home search. So you want to start with the date that you want to move in. You want to add 30 to 45 days to that date, and then another 60 to 90 days to finding a property. So you're looking at about 3.5 months in the event that the seller doesn't want to rent back. Right now, we're seeing a lot of properties that do want rent back. So then you need to add another 60 days on top of that. Thanks. I'll talk to you later. My pleasure. My pleasure. Yeah. So with that Perfect Home questionnaire, we actually linked it up with our calendar. So now you could just schedule a time that works for your schedule versus having to go back and forth, back and forth. We used to do that, and that was never any fun. No, we don't. All right. All right. Post any questions you may have. Today is Wednesday, getting ready for the weekend. We're going to a new brunch spot that the missus found. We're going to take the boys this weekend to it. I think it's an all-you-can-eat brunch spot. Our boys are probably going to have stomach aches because their eyes are bigger than their stomachs. But I'm looking forward to that. I'm not really a all-you-can-eat type of guy, but the missus would like to go, so we'll go and check that out. Let me see what the name of the place is. I'm pulling up the name right now. Boo, boo, boo. Okay, it's called Farmers, Fishers, and Bakers, or Farmers, Fishers, Bakers. Okay, yeah, I've been there for dinner. I've never been there for the brunch. But my wife does like that place for brunch, so that's gonna be interesting. Has anybody ever been to Farmers, Fishers, Bakers for their brunch, their weekend brunch? How was it? Was it? Did you like it? Was it pretty good? All right, all right. So last call for questions. Last call for questions. If you have a question, post it down below. But at the end of this song, if we get to the end of this song, then we'll say good day. And then we'll see you on tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll cover question number 47 and for our buyers. And then for our sellers, we'll cover question number 13. And then we'll look at Loudoun County's numbers tomorrow. While we're waiting for a question to come in, does anybody remember when we used to use so I'm 40, so I turned 40 a couple months ago. But remember when we were using Facebook like maybe like 10, maybe 5, 7 years ago, and you would just accept anyone's friend request, right? You didn't even think about like who they were. You just accepted. But now, now when people send me friend requests, I'm like, who are you? I like want to do like a whole background investigation on them. What happened to us? What happened to us? We used to be so trusting of people, but now we're like, I don't know who you are. I need to know who you are before I let you in. It's kind of strange. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching today's show. We will be back on tomorrow to cover another buyer question and seller question, and to talk about Loudoun County real estate numbers. If you have any immediate questions for me, or are you ready to start your real estate journey, there is a link in the description to the Perfect Home Questionnaire. Fill out that form, and we will schedule a time to meet online via Zoom to answer any and all of your questions. Until tomorrow, have a great day, and I will see you on the next show. Peace.